A, B, C, D agents, you need to know your alphabet.
Why? YouTube said so.
So the big question is this. As real estate agents, how do we figure out where and when to cross the finish line of this crazy business? We're told that we need to build a real estate business that supports us after we pay our dues. Well, the truth is that so many agents spend decades looking for the finish line and never find it. And I don't know about you, but we'll be damned if we're doing open houses until we're 70. You have to have passive streams of income in your real estate business if you want to survive. Well, this is exactly what we're talking about right here, right now on the Passive Real Estate Agent Podcast. All right. Hey, Matt. Another episode going down.
We're getting along here. We're getting a few episodes behind our belt, or under our belt, or something.
And I hope we're giving good content to our listeners here because we're just sharing. This is one of those things we're just sharing different ideas and techniques about trying to create passive income for people. And today I just learned, or not today, yesterday I just learned about one group that is actually generating on average $5,000 a month in passive income. And we're not allowed to talk about it on this show, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we can't really talk about it on the show. We'll share with you if you guys want to call, but reach out to us. But what I wanted to talk about today was using YouTube advertising. Sorry, let me shut that down. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today was YouTube advertising. And are you using it in your real estate business? I asked that because I've been using it for several years. I've had a lot of really good luck with YouTube advertising, and I like it a whole lot better than Facebook advertising. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you a few good reasons. If you look at the two different platforms, there are two different ways of marketing. Facebook is very much what they call interrupt marketing, right? People go to Facebook because they're looking to see what their friends are doing, what their family's doing, what's happening in the community, whatever, look at funny memes and cat things and stuff like that, right? And so they're literally scrolling. And when you're doing advertising on Facebook, you have to do the hey and get in their face and catch their attention to get them to stop scrolling for a second, right? And these ad agencies call it, you got to create a scroll stopper, right? And so they're going along, they're scrolling, and then they see your thing and they go, gee, what's that? And maybe they'll watch it for a minute or two, but remember, they're there to see what's going on, with their friends and family and stuff, and not necessarily there to see your content. Okay. Right. If it's super compelling, then they're going to, sure. Okay, fine. Let me put that in. If you catch them at the right time, you catch them, when they are really engaged in something, or you can activate that, what they call the reticular activator, right? So for example, reticular activator is the you go buy a yellow car, right? You've never had a yellow car.
A whole bunch of yellow cars.
And all you see is yellow cars. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, okay. Yeah.
I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We've all been there. Like, I remember when we bought my wife's minivan, the Chrysler Pacifica. I very rarely ever saw a Chrysler Pacifica. All of a sudden, we buy the Chrysler Pacifica. We say, not only do we see a bunch of Chrysler Pacificas, but actually her model and her color are all over the place. We're like, what? Where'd they all come from? Mm-hmm. They didn't all buy it the same day that we did. But anyway, so it's something you become aware of. And the same thing in real estate. Yeah, if you are actively looking to buy a property and you come across an ad on Facebook that has a compelling message and you go, oh, okay, that's fine. And you put your information in and you send it off. But then chances are they just go right back to scrolling, right? Because now If it's a lead ad, you're capturing their information and whatnot. And agencies have constantly promoted Facebook advertising as, we're going to get you hundreds of leads and blah, 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 and everything. And it's like, and you know what? Okay, guys, look at me. If you're watching this on video, fine. If not, do I look or sound like the guy who's going to make 100, cold calls a day? No. No, I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. But I am not making the 100 cold calls a day to leads, right? Because the quality of lead that I've always gotten from Facebook has been, yeah, my CRM is full of leads. I get these agencies and they run a bunch of ads, and my database is full of all these people. But in the end of the day, I'm looking for people who are ready to buy or sell right now, who have clear intent on buying or selling right now. And I want them to reach out to me, not me have to chase after them. I just not where I'm at in my business. Maybe you are. That's okay. I mean, I don't know, Matt, do you like chasing after people and having them tell you no and slam the door in your face? And
I've been there. It's not, I've had people tell me to get the heck out of their office. It's not a fun place to be.
It's never a fun place to be, And so when I'm thinking about advertising and doing Facebook, it's a tough pill to swallow for me. But on the other hand, here's the difference with YouTube. YouTube is a very, very much an intent-based marketing platform. Okay, and so what do they say? They say YouTube is the second largest search engine on the planet,
next to, I guess, Google.
Yeah, next to Google, right? Who happens to own YouTube? Of course, we know that. And so. YouTube being the second largest search engine on the planet, what that means is that people intentionally are searching for the content that you are putting out,
right?
Not happening to stumble across it,
right?
And maybe make a decision to put their information in, and okay, well maybe I'll go. No, this is very much intent-based marketing, and there's some other really key factors that play into YouTube marketing as well. And that is, number one, when you run ads, and this I love, this is beautiful for me. When you run ads, it says skip ad on there, right?
Right.
Well, if the person does not if they hit the skip ad, guess what? I don't pay for it. I don't pay for it. I only pay for videos. What's that?
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Oh yes, you only pay for it when somebody has watched the video for, I think it was 15 seconds or longer.
Okay.
Or 15 seconds or longer. So I want you to think about this for a second. So I'm out there and I'm talking about selling a house or buying investment property, right? And I put a message up there that says, hey, hey, we've got, this great, 5-unit complex that's available for $1.3 million in Tarrant, Texas, right?
Right.
Right away, what's going to happen? You're doing two things. You're attracting the people who are interested. You're repelling the people who are not interested.
I would also think that the length of time that they watch my video would have an impact on their interest level.
Well, it does for sure. But just in the very beginning, you put out that very first statement that you say is, I've got a $1.3 million 5-unit building in great shape in Tarrant, Texas. Okay. Now, let's say you're targeting people who are looking to buy, and the targeting on Google, in my opinion, is way better than what Facebook offers. But you're targeting people who are looking to buy, excuse me, and then you are, and maybe they're investors, maybe they're, they have a certain amount of income, maybe whatever the criteria is you use. But instantly, by saying, I have a $1.3 million 5-unit building, if they continue to watch that video, that person is very much interested in investing in real estate, right?
Right.
Versus if they're not interested, what are they going to do?
They're going to look for some other video.
They're going to skip your ad.
Right.
They're going to skip your ad and go on to the next one. Did you pay for that ad? No, because they hit skip ad. Right?
Okay.
So now you're paying, your ads that you're paying for are going to a very highly targeted audience, as opposed to Facebook that they're going to, I mean, when you scroll and your image flashes on the screen as it's going by, they go, that was an impression. You know, somebody saw it, we're charging you, you know, and it's like, oh man.
Nothing was captured.
What's that?
Nothing was captured. They don't have any information.
You've got nothing.
Risk. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, you're looking at very intent-based marketing, and you're only paying for these ads when you're using these. And the targeting too, in my opinion, is way better. If you let's look at real estate targeting in Facebook. So in Facebook, they have gotten so restrictive, right? Facebook has decided that they want to be the fair housing police. And real estate's not the only restricted category, but they want to be the fair housing police. And so like if I'm sitting there and I go, well, I've got a great listing I want to promote, and it's right here, and I just want to promote to this area because I know that if I can let other buyers in the area or other homeowners in the area know that my listing is available, they're usually the ones who say, you know, call their cousin, their brother, their sister, their mom, their dad, or somebody and go, hey, this house is available. You should go take a look, right? But Facebook doesn't let me do that. I have to market to a 15-mile radius.
I don't know one agent that's going to want to drive that distance to go see a listing.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, here in Orange County, I mean, we're pretty heavy populated. So, hey, man, if I'm doing business within 2 miles, I've got plenty of action going on. But you know, some places more rural, of course. I mean, I've heard people driving a whole lot farther than that to get their business. But the point is that it's not a targeted audience, right? It's not a targeted audience. And same thing with buyers. So like if I do a 15-mile radius from where I am, now I'm targeting the people who are looking to buy in Riverside, California, where I don't service Riverside, California.
It's a very different place.
Yeah, totally different place. You know, if they're buying $1 million place, I'll drive to Riverside. Okay, but
sure.
So with YouTube, you can zero your targeting down to a 1 mile radius or specific zip codes or specific cities. Okay. And only those people in those areas will see those videos. Okay. And then one last thing I want to address, and I'm sure something else will pop in my head here as we go, but with YouTube videos versus Facebook videos and ads, and in particular, as well as the content on Facebook, attention span is minuscule, right? You scroll by, you read the meme, you laugh, you hit like, you're on to the next thing, right? It's constantly on to the next thing. Okay. But, and so if you're doing a video ad, man, it's got to be short and sweet. Okay. Short and sweet video ad. And then try to get them to go to that other place, get somewhere else.
Do you find that having a real good hook at the beginning is really mandatory, or is it sort of, you can take it or leave it? Well,
and no, I mean, you always, on all advertising, you've got to have a good hook. All advertising, you got to have a great hook to get people to catch their attention and get them to stop and look and see what you're doing.
Right.
But with advertising, yeah, you've got to, I mean, Facebook advertising, YouTube or Facebook videos, again, they're like, you know, they stop for a second because maybe you had that image or that something that caught their attention. They stop, they start listening, and they go, okay, well, this has gone on for more than 15 seconds. It's so easy just to scroll and keep going and go, right? But now you've been charged for it. YouTube, on the other hand, because it is intent-based marketing, people are looking at that. They see that video, even if it comes up as an ad, if it has a good hook right in the very beginning, they say, hey, this is what we're talking about today. and here's how you do it, and you start to explain the process, well, guess what? People will sit and watch a 12-minute ad, a 12-minute video ad. They'll sit there and watch it for 12 minutes. Okay. And this is a great way to get business from people, whether you're just trying to get sellers, or you're trying to get buyers, or you're trying to get investors, or you're trying to get sellers who own investment property, or whatever it is, to get them to give value, to give great value in an ad, right? Who would ever think about doing that? An ad is an ad. Hey, call me because I have something valuable to offer, or, because I want to earn a commission, right? But you can create a YouTube ad that's a longer form ad, and people will sit there and watch it. And same thing with your videos. You can create a long form video. I mean, I've sat and watched 45-minute long videos because it had the content that I was looking for, and it had great information and provided the value that I was looking for. And in some cases, guess what I do afterwards? I click and I go buy the thing that they're pitching.
Right.
Which in our case,
I've seen the difference also. What I like about what you're saying is that when I'm on YouTube and I'm looking at videos, it's easier to understand what's being presented versus some little icon on the corner of your screen. It's like another, blurb. It's like, I'm not interested. But when it's somebody that's talking to you, it's, I think, easier to understand what that is they're talking about. And it's very easier to get involved if that's, your interest.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it just goes really back to the whole thing of, is it intent based versus interrupt based marketing, right? And as a result, let me just kind of wrap up with this. As a result, what I end up with is, I don't end up with hundreds of people in my database clogging up my database that, are never going to take my call, that are never going to respond to my emails or my texts or anything like that. I actually get people who call me. They call me and say, hey, Anthony, we've watched 3, 4, 5 of your videos, because I'm providing value. And we like what you had to say. Can you come over? We're thinking about selling our house. Can you come over and help us out? Gee, let me check. Yeah, of course. Sure.
35.
Yeah. And so the inbound marketing is, in my opinion, way better than any outbound marketing. And the way you do that is by creating value, putting it out there, run the ads to get people. Now here, one final tip. See, I know I'm going to keep having things pop in my head. So this is what's really cool too, is in YouTube, let's say I create a video, just an organic video. So like, give me a topic, Matt, on investing. ABC.
Learning about emerging markets.
Okay, learning about emerging markets. Okay. So I create a video out there organically and just post it up, right? And I talk about learning about emerging markets, and here's how you figure it out, and here's the caveats, and here's the wins, and here's how you take advantage of this as an investor. And I just put it out there. And now people watch this video. Well, through analytics in YouTube, they know how long people watch the video. A couple of things, benefits of that. Number one, you kind of start to figure out, where are people dropping off? Okay, I got to stop talking about that stuff, right? Whatever that is, because you're losing interest. But also now it can track the percentage that somebody has watched the video. So in YouTube, I can create a custom audience that says, anybody who's watched my video, organic video, 50% or more. Okay, so if they watch that video 50% or more, now I can run an ad just to those people. So let's just hypothetical. I get 1,000 views on my video. Woohoo! I'm world famous. I'm viral.
There you go.
For real estate, that's pretty, because I don't know if anybody notices or not, but real estate is not a sexy topic. It just isn't. But let's say I get 1,000 views, but in reality, only 150 people watch it past that 50% mark, right? For whatever reason.
Right.
Well, I can run ads to those 150 people. And the chances of them wanting to do business with me are a whole lot higher than those other 850 people who dropped off before the 50% mark. You see what I'm saying? And you can do 25%, 50%, I think 75 and 90% if they, so you can set whatever those parameters are. So, I mean, just the whole strategy of marketing to people in a place where they're looking for what you're offering and then coming back through the back door and now running ads to them that, you know, you guys have probably seen this where you've clicked on something, you've watched something, and then later on you saw a video that says, hey, wait a minute. I know you watched my video. I know you watched it and you didn't click on the button or you didn't buy my stuff or whatever it is, right? And you're like, how they know that? Right? Well, that's how they know it. So anyways, if you're not using YouTube to do your real estate marketing, to do your investor marketing, to do, you know, to use it to find prospective customers in your real estate business, then you really need to reconsider that and look at the quality of leads that you're getting through your other platforms. Okay, so that being said, I think I've talked about enough, and I have a video that I created where I went into in depth on how I actually do my YouTube ad targeting. And what we'll do is we'll put that on the website so that you guys can go and watch it. Just go on over to the website, the URL's at the end, and you can watch it and learn how to get your first YouTube ad going. So
I'd probably watch that video myself because I haven't seen it yet.
well, there you go. So you know, talking about targeting and things like that, right? We got it when we're doing investments in real estate, we've got to target the right types of properties, the right types of property owners, the right locations, right?
You think of these multifamily apartments, it's a business. Like I said earlier, when the banks look at this thing, they're not looking at the creditworthiness of the owner. They're looking at the net operating income, right? And they're looking at, you know, is it profitable? Is it sustainable? Is it being run well? Well, there's different types of properties, A, B, C, and D. And I'll explain what those are. But the properties that are the most profitable are the B and C type properties. Now, what is an A, B, C, D property? An A type property is it's the newest type of property. It's the most expensive type. Typically, you'll have corporate investors, insurance companies, big companies with a lot of cash. They buy the A type of properties. They're most expensive, newest. A lot of times they'll have the most amenities inside the properties. When you get to a B type property, these are the ones that are built in the last 20 to 30 years. Tenants are a mix of white collar, blue collar renters. Just that's the type of jobs they have. And some are renters by choice, and some are renters by necessity. All right, so just some people there.
What do you mean by necessity? What is
their income isn't enough to really go out and buy a house, so they have to rent because you know, maybe it's a little easier for them to rent rather than come up with a cash for a down payment. So then you get C, a C-type building property that was built in the last 30 to 40 years. The many tenants that's what they're going to do. These are people that are not going to buy houses. They're going to be renting just because that's where their income is. And maybe it's actually they're just starting out. It's a college graduate that just got their first job. They don't have the big income yet to have the down payment and be able to maintain and pay taxes and so forth. So, you know, people starting out, or Section 8. If you're not familiar with that, this is a government assistance program where if your income is low enough, then the government can help pay for the or offset the cost. Most of these people have to contribute a little bit of their income towards the rent, but the government is helping them out. Well, then you have a D type property, which is, it's an older property. It's in a not the best area of town. It's a little bit rougher there. You have a lot of crime issues going on. So that tends to be one that, maybe they're profitable, but it takes a lot more work to deal with some additional issues.
Is that the ones that all the slumlords own?
Well, perhaps, yeah, and I've known people like that, and it's just it's a rougher experience. So they can be. I've heard that the D type properties can be very profitable, but there's a lot more work involved with the D type properties. Where the most money is going to be made is in the B and C type properties. People are working, they're doing well, and it's just it tends to be a good fit. Now you can also have neighborhoods that are A, B, C, D.
Okay, so wait, before you go into the neighborhood, so just for clarification, the ABCD rating pertains to, number one, the age and quality of the building as well as income from the building, or just age and quality?
Age and quality, because what it is you can have a C property in a B neighborhood, and as you're analyzing the property and you're looking at how's this thing being run, there's ways of improving the property and sort of, what's the word? You're changing it into a better property. So it was C, now it's a B, because you've fixed the maintenance that was deferred maybe. You've added, you've fixed other things up, you've painted it, you've had better landscaping. Maybe you've got better employees on the property.
Yeah, cosmetic issues.
Cosmetic issues, yeah. And then, so now you've created a better property, and now it went from a C to a B, and because maybe you've added some other things there that are just like, oh, wow, it's attractive to renters. So you can reposition the property if you can identify the opportunities.
Now, who determines the ABC rating?
It's just there's things that are just standardly known in the industry by age, by amenity. So a 20-unit building that may have a swimming pool, and that's it, and maybe a laundry room, that's going to be more of a C property, right? Just because it doesn't have a lot of features in it, and it's maybe built 30 years ago.
So it's not something that somebody is out there identifying specifically and putting a tag on each of these properties saying this is A, this is B, this is C.
It's really the age and the features, like you were saying before, that are dictating what type of property it is. But you can add value to the property and you can make it improve it. And
the investor is making that determination of where they're going to categorize it.
Right. Based on what does the property need? What am I willing to put into it? Do I need to reposition it? Do I just, leave it as is because things
let it ride?
Let it ride, because sometimes, it's leased up, things are good, the previous owner did well, and you're just going to keep it at this and let the equity build up.
Sure.
But the real money is being made when you're adding the value. You're doing things that are making it more profitable, and there's lots of ways to do that. And
then you said that there's ABCD neighborhoods as well.
Correct. There's demographics of people, and based on their job type and what the economic area. That's that you have areas where people that they tend to go to one part of town because that's what they can afford. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just where it is. And so your value play can, if you find a B neighborhood, but you have a C property, and then you can bring the C property to a B status. You're gonna when you turn around and sell in a few years, it's a big equity play. You're gonna make a lot of money.
So you're going to take the combination of the type of property and the type of neighborhood that it's in and try to make an assessment as to whether or not, number one, it's a good initial investment.
Right.
Number one. And number two, what it's going to end up what kind of result it's going to give you in the future,
Right.
Provided everything stays the same as it is, right?
Right.
Or if a neighborhood is on the upswing and being upgraded, or same thing if it's on the
Right.
downturn, right?
There's a good thing that any good real estate agent, well, and an investor for that matter, as well, was going to talk to the Economics Development Board for a city. And hey, where's your path of progress? What areas are you seeing growing? You're going to look at employers that are moving into the area, and how many jobs are they going to be bringing to town? Where are they going to be moving their new facility? And that will influence the neighborhoods as far as creating more demand in a certain part of town. And that way, you can sort of guide your customers to areas like here's some area that might be a good investment because there's going to be higher demand in that area. And so the Economics Development Board can actually help shed some light on that.
Now, if you walk into the city and you just say, "Hey, I want to talk to somebody on Economics Development Board," I mean, are those people generally going to be willing to sit down and have a conversation with you, or are they?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, if you ask the right questions, and they'll be generally be happy to talk. I've read stories about people who, the city worker, the city person in their office was so happy to share information because the person went to with a genuine interest in what that person does, and so they felt valued, and they were able to share a lot of really good information to this individual.
Right. Right.
So,
Hey,
if
they're human beings, right? They're human beings.
If you come genuinely interested in what they have or what they're doing, then I think human nature is like, oh, hey, this guy, I want to share what I know.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of, or I see, because I follow a lot of real estate agents and real estate companies and things like that. And I see these posts that will say, hey, if you're looking to buy in this neighborhood, now's the time to do it because Amazon's moving this shipping plant to this location, or Walmart's opening their distribution center here, or Oracle or Ricoh is building a manufacturing plant, right? So obviously they're doing a lot of development, but it's not just that. And in my opinion, that's too late. If they've already announced that they're moving there, well, it's too late, because I think the smart investors like you're talking about have already made a connection with that economic development person.
Right.
And that person has told them, dude, 2 years from now, that whole area over there, right, Amazon distribution,
right,
and that's when you go, ka-ching, let me start buying because nobody else knows about it, right?
Well, and looking at the path of progress is so important, because you have a city that they have this master plan, and they're going to start with a certain area of town. They're going to build it out, or maybe it's a revitalization zone where it's a rundown part of town that it had a good run a long time ago, but a lot of the stuff has moved out. So now what they're going to do is incentivize people to go into there and invest, and now it's going to have new growth. So if you're talking to people in the know, you're gonna have a better sense of that before it becomes on the front page of the newspaper, or wherever else you would see that kind of thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, another good indicator of an area that is coming up is when you're sitting there, first of all, if it's like only fast food restaurants, it's kind of like, I mean, it is what it is, right? But all of a sudden you start having those niche businesses come in. You got the Jamba Juices, and you have, more specific type of restaurants, and a little bit higher end grocery stores, right? So instead of just Ralph's or Albertsons, you've got, a Sprouts moves into the area. Those are probably times when you should go, what's going, it feels like things are moving in an upward direction as far as revitalizing the area. And, should I start doing some research then, or is it too late is that already in progress and now I've missed out?
Well, keep in mind that if you hear about this, and obviously the earlier you know about this, the better, but if you hear of a company bringing their plant into town, and let's just say I was just reading Lockheed Martin was going to potentially bring 1,000 new jobs to the Fort Worth area. That's my neck of the wood. And I guess there's the Space Department, that's the next branch of the military that's dealing with space. Well, they're kind of getting ready to be a player in that new industry. And so they're thinking about, okay, 1,000 new employees, engineer types, that would come to this area. Well, for every one job that they bring into this area, there's 2 or 3 supportive jobs that are needed to support that guy. Restaurants, markets, oil change places, gas stations. There's all these other supporting that employee is going to need when they move into the area. So
that's a great point.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's just, you really want to pay attention to what's going on. What are companies doing? Are they moving into the area? Are they moving out of the area? What's the time frame? How many jobs are they creating when they move in?
Right.
So it's really a fun study to see.
So as a real estate agent, though, I mean, because across the country, you've got areas that are very rural, you've got areas that are very high density.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep on top of that? And what's the benefit of knowing this? How are you going to, okay, great. So you know this stuff. Now what?
Well, I think to answer your first point, you're going to want to focus on your market. All right. As an agent, you're not going to be selling. If you're in Orange County, California, it really doesn't matter what's happening in the middle of Nebraska. That's all fun if you are interested, but you want to know your market, right? But if you're an investor, you have your main market, but then sometimes you'll learn other markets because maybe there's opportunities you want to look at there. But for an agent, it's a matter of being prepared, because who knows who you're going to meet. You might meet someone that they want to buy a house, but they also have money to invest in. So if you can be knowledgeable about these types of things, and maybe you can offer some guidance to that customer, and maybe if you have the ability to help them find something too, that would be great also. But that depends on your business plan.
It's there's a saying that I use, like when I'm talking with buyers and sellers, and they go like, all buyers, they want to buy at the very bottom of the market, right? So they can go up, and all the sellers want to sell at the very top of the market,
sure.
So they get the most money out of it. And I told them, I said, you know what? There's only one way, and one way only, that I know for a fact, when we're at the very top and when we're at the very bottom. I can tell you for sure when that has happened. And they go, really? How? And I go, after we missed it.
Yeah.
Because nobody can predict it, right?
Well,
think about, and I got to tie in here, but think about this. You got in 2007, the big market crash, right? The feds, right? These guys are supposed to be the brilliant people of the whole, economic world. They're going, gosh, how did that happen? Right. And it's the same thing when areas are being revitalized or not. Right. A lot of agents, I've seen this happen time and time and time again. Something like Lockheed Martin is planning on moving into the area. Right. Well, the agents wait until the structure's already built. They've already got infrastructure put in. They've already got equipment moving in. They've already started manufacturing. And then they go, now I'm going to become the Lockheed Martin, specialist. And it's like, no, you've missed the boat.
right.
The time to set yourself up was 2 years ago,
Right.
when they were talking about it. Right.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm saying is like, the only time to know when it's the top is when you've missed it. But in this case, you have the ability to go to, like you said, the economic development department, right?
Right.
And just make a relationship and just start talking to them and saying, hey, what's happening in the area?
Well, and to sort of add on this, and there is ways to see, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? There are indicators. What we talked about is sort of like the basics, but there are indicators on what are jobs happening. You can see by where are jobs leaving, are they coming in? And there's some other factors, maybe this would be a definite show topic in the future, but you can sort of see where the cycle is, because there's always a up and down. And Orange County might have one cycle, Dallas, Texas might be in a different cycle.
Of course.
And it's because there's niches, but there's indicators that you can look at to tell you where they are in a cycle. And therefore that you can kind of see predict a little bit better where they are and what's going to happen.
And I think that's the key word there, is predict a little better, because like I said, people, agents traditionally, typically, they don't know that this stuff is happening until it's already full swing in motion,
right? And
they get lost. So I mean, that tip of just going and talking to the economic development department people, making a relationship, take them out to lunch,
right?
And the honest, it's like my area here. There isn't a whole lot of new development going on, except for maybe there's one part where there's an old Marine base where they're trying to develop. But besides that, not a lot going on. But gosh darn it, I want to know if there's a couple major companies that are here. I want to know if they're planning on moving out, because if they're heading out of town, that's an opportunity, right? But if other big companies are moving in, that's an opportunity, right? Or just knowing, I'll tell you, back in I want to say it was the 90s, late 90s, in one of the cities near here. They took a totally different approach on redevelopment, and they were not issuing permits on high density properties.
Okay.
Right. And so had I known that at the time, I could have sold 1,000 houses, because all these people were now moving out of these high density properties that they were not allowing new permits to be issued for repairs and maintenance and stuff like that. They had to eventually red tag them, and everybody had to move out. Right. But I didn't know it. I didn't, because I wasn't talking to the right people. So this is a great tip, Matt. Thank you.
It also, you think about, take that same situation where you're an apartment owner and they're not allowing more apartments to be built. What's that going to do to you? Your property just became more valuable because there's the supply and demand. There's more demand than supply, and therefore you could bump rents a little bit or optimize your income.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So how do we find people who are, got B or C properties in a B neighborhood, and, get them on the radar so we can actually, either go in there or buy the properties invested in ourselves, or work with present it to our clients to buy and sell and earn a hefty commission?
I know there's ways of finding out. I just came across a software program where this guy, he was an investor, and he manually found out, but he has a software program, and I'm thinking about getting it, but you put in an address and it'll show you on the map where these properties are based on the age and all those things we talked about. But there is ways of finding out where those types of properties are. That's a whole other topic. I mean, if we want to get into it, we can maybe do a broader.
I've got a simple answer. Run a YouTube ad.
There you go.
And in the YouTube ad, the very first thing you say is, do you own a multi-unit property and you're thinking of selling it? And that's the first words out of your mouth. Because if the person looking at it does own the multi-family unit property, yes, and they're thinking of selling it, yes, they're going to continue watching your video. If not, they click skip ad and you don't pay for it.
Right.
That's one way to do it.
Well, I mean, that's right. And if you got their attention, and they watch your video, it's a very warm lead.
Absolutely, very warm lead. Very warm lead. So Great. Anything else you got to throw in there, Matt?
That's what I got. I would love to talk more about A, B, C, and D, but maybe we'll do that again in more depth in the future.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode. And again, just hit us up at thepassiverealestateagent.com. And, we'll look forward to connecting with you guys. If you got questions, hey, me and Matt, we're always willing to chat and have conversations with you guys. And if you want to learn some additional passive income strategies that we hold very close to our chest, but we're willing to share with those people who, we deem are the right people, then we will do that. So that being said, have a great day, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Passive Real Estate Agent Podcast. Hey, do us a favor and subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening to us right now. Don't forget the likes and the comments. We always appreciate it. And, it really helps others to find this valuable information. Now, look, there's something that both Matt and I and several of our guests have discovered that has radically changed our real estate job into a truly passive income. And it's a little controversial, and that's why we really don't discuss it on the show. But we'd like to invite those truly entrepreneurial individuals to learn more. Just visit thepassiverealestateagent.com and join one of our upcoming webinars. You'll thank yourself later that you did. Thanks again so much for listening. Take care.